The Mets bring their suddenly more high-powered offense to the Steel City, PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Roberto Clemente standing in statuary as the Mets get set to play in the shadow of the bridges. At PNC Park in Pittsburgh, the New York Mets play the Pittsburgh Pirates. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Pittsburgh. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets open a 4-game series against the Pirates. A Met offense has been rejuvenated, scoring 26 runs in the last 3 games. And all of a sudden, a big logjam in the outfield with a return to action tonight of Juan Lagares.
26 runs, but they're changing things and bringing Juan Lagares. When you think of the outfield, there's going to be 6 of them now. And Lagares and Granderson, of course, are going to get the majority of time. It's going to be incumbent on Terry Collins to try to find a way to get the other outfielders in. Abreu's in the lineup today. The Chris Young, Eric Young Jr., Kirk Nieuwenhuis. It's going to be a very difficult thing. I'm interested to see how it plays out.
And so Abreu gets the first call tonight, at least for the start of the game. Might come out for defense later. As for the Pirates, they got off to a 12-20 start this year, but things have been on the upswing for them.
You know, the Los Angeles Dodgers last year went on that 42-8 run. They did it because they brought up Yasiel Puig. Well, they might do the same thing this year, and they brought up Gregory Polanco, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and he's been a big difference maker. The record's 9-6 in the games he's played, and he's led off 13 times, scored 12 runs, batting around 300 when he leads off, so he might be the difference maker as they try to get back in this central race.
Polanco just 22 years old, and in an outfield that features Andrew McCutchen, might have more talent than any other Pittsburgh player, which is really saying something. The task of holding down Polanco and the Pirates tonight falls to Daisuke Matsuzaka. Daisuke has been brilliant all year and never better than in his last start, although he took a loss against Miami.
You know, he's the 3rd Mets pitcher to have a loss this season, just given up 1 run. He's been amazing all year. The only negative is the walks, but still he's been able to pitch around it with runners in scoring position.
The last time the Mets saw the starter for the Pirates tonight, Vance Worley, it was in the snow in Minnesota, and they were beating him senseless.
He gave up 9 runs in 1 inning, 7 of them earned. He has just been really the doormat for the Mets, as they've always hit him hard.
So it's the Mets and the Pirates opening up a 4-game series in the shadow of the 3 rivers. The Mets and the Bucks, all the action coming your way tonight on SNY. cars are waiting. Grab some buzz. By Geico. By New York Community Bank and the NYCB family of banks. Visit them on the web at mynycb.com. And by your Tri-Honda dealer. Hurry to your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on the 2014 models. You can follow every Mets game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live bookings, instant replays, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Mets.com today. Time for you to send in your AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet or Instagram your photo using hashtag SNYFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown later tonight during the game. It's the Mets and the Pirates opening a 4-game series in Pittsburgh. Come on back. First pitch is coming right up. You know what's interesting watching McCutchen recently is that since Gregory Polanco came up, you know, the young, heralded, next wave 22-year-old, McCutchen's raised his game just a little bit.
He has, and there's two things working. That, he raised the game with Polanco, Gary, and the other thing is, I think he heard a lot of talk that his numbers were not that great for an MVP last year. He said, well, okay, wait till this year. We'll see what happens.
And all of a sudden, he's begun hitting more home runs. 8 of his 12 home runs have come in the month of June. Mets beat the Pirates 2 out of 3 when they were at Citi Field in late May, and Terry Collins hoping for more positive results against the Bucks starting tonight.
Hoping for some real energy. The team had some difficult travels last night, got in very late.
Mets did not take off until after 2 o'clock last night. Did not get to the hotel until about 4 o'clock this morning here in Pittsburgh.
I went to bed at 6, up at 8, ready to go.
You know, those things don't bother you because you don't sleep anyway.
Exactly. You see Vance Worley's stats so far this year. What a turnaround from last year when he was 1-5 and a 7.21 ERA. But like I said in the pregame, he's been the doormat for the Mets. 3-4 in his career, 6.64 ERA.
Worley had the great rookie season with the Phillies. That was 3 years ago. 11-3, 3.01, and he's only 26. So you know, there's still time for him to reclaim that kind of season again. There's your Geico Mets starting lineup, and the new look with Juan Lagares back in there in the lineup for the first time since the 1st of June when he went down with an intercostal injury. So Curtis Granderson plays right. Bobby Abreu for the first time this year will play left, and this is very difficult left field in Pittsburgh. It's much bigger than right field, and the sun will be in his eyes early in the game.
You know, to add on about Vance Worley is that he is a guy that was saying that when he's with Philadelphia at the end, because he had so much promise, he changed his arm angle because his elbow was bothering. He had an operation, but it took him almost a full year to come back from that elbow surgery, and now pitching a little better. And here's the Coors Light Pirates defense, very athletic in the outfield. Harrison, who is their utility man, McCutchen, and Polanco, who we talked about. What a star he's going to be. Alvarez, Mercer, Walker, and Davis, 2 big home run hitters on the corners. And Russell Martin thrown out about 25% of the would-be base stealers this season.
Well, there's Gregory Polanco, who made his major league debut a couple of weeks ago for the Pirates. Not in the lineup tonight is the other star in that Pittsburgh outfield, Starling Marte, who banged his head and hurt his finger the other day on a slide at second base, and they're hoping that he'll be back in the lineup tomorrow. Curtis Granderson, red hot, leads off for the Mets. Granderson had 3 more hits last night, hitting at .242 for the year. First pitch from Worley is hit back to the box, and Worley handles it. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Very interesting, wasn't it? Granderson leading off. The Mets hitters leading off, whether it's Lagares, Tejada, whoever, have really always taken that first pitch, but he was first pitch swinging.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Daniel Murphy, who took a rare 0 for yesterday, still leads the National League in base hits with 94. Since the start of the 2012 season, Daniel Murphy has 448 hits. Only one National League player has more, and he's patrolling center field for the Pirates. That's Andrew McCutchen. Strike from Worley. Now Murphy wears out Vance Worley. I mean, wears him out. He's 12 for 17 in his career against Worley, and he has a hit in each of his last 8 plate appearances against this pitcher.
So you're telling me on the flight last night when it wasn't taking off, Murphy was very nervous. We got to get to Pittsburgh. I'm facing Worley tomorrow.
He was visualizing. He's actually reached safely 10 straight plate appearances, 8 hits and 2 walks. So, I mean, Worley ahead of him here, but it's been a rarity he's been able to get him out. But he will this time. Mercer gets in front of the grounder, and so that streak comes to an end. And there were 2 out and nobody on. And Worley already way ahead of the game from where he was the last time he faced the Mets. It was April the 12th of last year. The Mets played in Minnesota. It was 34 degrees at game time. It was snowing. John Neese was the pitcher of the other part. Worley gave up 5 runs in the first inning, and then before recording it out, gave up a grand slam to John Buck in the second inning. 9 runs, 7 earned in an inning plus. The most runs the Mets have ever scored against a pitcher were recorded that few outs in a start. Wow. And the Mets won that game 16-5. Here's David Wright with 2 out and nobody on. David riding a 9-game hitting streak. And takes up and in for ball 1.
A couple things about Worthy I can see already. When he was with Philadelphia and showed so much promise, he got a lot of ground balls and he pitched in. He's doing both of those things here early in the ballgame. And also, he looks much thinner, in better shape than he was at the end in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's always been an issue with Worley. Taken inside 2-0. Vance was with Minnesota in spring training. They sold him for cash with a week to go before the season. Pirates picked him up, sent him to extended spring training for about a month to get him ready to go. And then he went to AAA and he made 7 good starts. What stood out about his AAA numbers: 4 walks, 43 strikeouts in his 7th start.
And 1 walk and 9 strikeouts so far this season.
He's always been a pretty good control pitcher, but now really gone to the far end of that spectrum. 2-1 the count to Wright, and David fouls off that inside fastball. It's 2-2.
Well, our wonderful statistician here, Tom, gave me a note about the defense, which would be maybe an issue for Mr. Worley today. They've made 60 errors. That's the most in the National League. 30 unearned runs. So Worley needs his defense to perform well for him to have success.
2-2 coming to right. And he tops one toward third. Tough play for Alvarez with the bare hand. And he got him by a stride. Side retired. Alvarez, who's been part of that defensive problem for the Pirates, makes a nice play. And Worley has a 9-pitch 1-2-3 first. For the Pirates tonight, Neil Walker just back from an appendectomy. This is his second game back in the lineup. Ike Davis facing his old team for the second time. Went hitless against the Mets in that series at Citi Field.
Well, these are the Caesars Atlantic City stats for Daisuke Matsuzaka. You see that 3-1 record, lost his last start, but was awfully good. 56 and 41 for Matsuzaka's career.
Gregory Polanco will lead things off for the Pirates. Polanco's been in the big leagues a little over 2 weeks now. Hit in his first 11 games after coming up, a rarely accomplished feat. So he has arrived with a splash.
Well, you see the defense. You have to have David Wright in. He's got great speed. Long strides does Polanco have.
And Matsuzaka starts him off. Low and away for ball one. Polanco is a great tribute to the idea that you can sign a player with great tools and live with him while he struggles. Because you look at what he accomplished early on in his minor league career, and if you just go by the numbers, there was no reason to believe he would ever be an accomplished big league.
But he is a 5-tool player, and they just kept working with him, and he has just exploded onto the scene.
As they moved him up the levels of the farm system, his results became better and better, and he was tearing it up in AAA this year, hitting .347 when he was called up.
That's my man Clint Hurdle.
The Pirates to their first winning record and first postseason berth since 1992 last season.
Teammates on the '83 Tidewater Tides, Gary.
Was Clint catching then?
No, he played third base that entire year. Gary Racich played first, and he had an unbelievable year. I think he had 100 RBI in AAA. The Tidewater Tides, I think, won the title that year.
Matsuzaka behind on the leadoff hitter, 3-1. And that misses ball 4. So Polanco's on with leadoff walk. It's the one print in Daisuke's game this year. 32 walks in 47 innings.
The problem, Gary, is that for someone watching, you're feeling as though at some point those walks will come back to haunt him. You can't continue to walk guys when you're more of a contact pitcher that Daisuke is.
Well, what highlighted his last outing was that he did not issue an unintentional walk in the start against the Marlins. Gave up a run on 6 hits and 5 1/3. Polanco 3 stolen bases since his recall.
Daisuke's only given up, though, 28 hits in 47 innings pitched. That's an extremely low number.
Here's Josh Harrison filling in left field tonight with Starling Marte out of the lineup. Harrison has become an almost everyday play somewhere kind of a guy. Started at 4 different positions, and more than a utility guy, he's established himself as something more than that. Hitting .302 for the year. The Mets handled him. He was red hot when he came to Citi Field last month, and he went just 1 for 13 in that series.
He's an aspiring Tony Phillips kind of player where he can play in 4 or 5 different positions and produce from every position. And he just doesn't, locate the position. He excels at the infield and outfield positions.
A little guy with more power than you think. Daisuke really obsessed with Polanco, and Harrison drops down a bunt and a roll foul. Bunting for a hit all the way. And with Polanco streaking towards second, he'll have to come on back.
They always tell you if you're going to bunt for a base hit, make sure it's perfect or foul, so that you don't bunt it back to the pitcher. And boy, very close by Harrison. Nice attempt. I'm surprised by the way the scoring is now, that more second place hitters don't do this in the National League. I don't see the American League as much because if you're thrown out, they'll give you a sacrifice.
This game misses with a slider, and it's a ball and a strike to Harrison. Josh Harrison out of the University of Cincinnati, same school that produced Kevin Youthfulness, same school that produced a basketball player named Sandy Koufax.
That's right. I thought that you were going to the Big O.
Well, I mean, Sandy and the Big O were pretty much contemporaries.
Right. Oh, that was too late. Too late there by Jeff Nelson. I wonder if Darno called time, because sometimes they'll give it, the umpire will give it if the catcher calls time. No, that's way too late. Cannot do that.
It's Jeff Nelson, the home plate umpire tonight. He is the crew chief for this unit. Harrison lays off the slider, and it's 2-1. Daisuke struggling to find the strike zone early in this game. Mets have announced that as your umpiring crew, Jeff Nelson, the crew chief behind the plate, Laz Diaz, Toby Basner, who had some problems with the Mets in Anaheim, and Scott Barry. There goes Polanco, and Harrison drills one to deep left field. Abreu back near the wall to make the catch. Now it's a big left field here in Pittsburgh. 383 to straightaway left, and Daisuke needed all of that to keep Harrison in the ballpark.
Well, this is a deep ballpark, very fair for the pitchers. Harrison thought he got it, and it did not carry as much as I thought it would off the bat. A nice play by Abreu to get back there and make that play look easy as he looks into the sun.
Well, we talked about Abreu. This is his first start in left field since July of 2012, and he handled that pretty well. So here's McCutchen with 1 out and 1 on. The funny thing about Abreu is, even when he was a really good outfielder as a young player, always had a little fear of the wall, and so maybe better off in the bigger part of the outfield where he doesn't have to deal with that wall as much. McCutchen takes inside for ball 1. Well, Abreu's got the sun in his eyes, no sunglasses.
Hey, listen, with starts at a premium, you're not going to say anything. Wherever you are, you want to play if you're an outfielder on the Mets roster.
That's a good point. Competition is certainly at a high level right now with 6 outfielders on the roster. McCutchen takes the curveball outside. McCutchen at .315, that's 4th in the National League. 3rd in on-base percentage, 6th in slugging percentage, backing up his MVP award from last year. This is a Pirate team that is laden with first-round draft picks. And in McCutchen and Neil Walker on deck, they're 3 and 4 hitters, 2 guys they drafted in the first round out of high school who have blossomed into stars. Start 2-1.
Here's a Mets defense behind Matsuzaka, the Lexus defense. You talked about Abreu in left. Of course, Lagares back there in center field, and Granderson. Infield is about the same every night. Right, Tejada, Murphy, and Duda, and d'Arnaud doing the catching.
You know, I was thinking about the Pirates' resurgence and McCutchen and Walker being in the middle of that in relation to the Mets drafting strategy these last few years when they took high school position players in the first round. You know, McCutchen was drafted in 05, Walker in 04. And it took, you know, the better part of a decade to develop those players to the point where they would be part of a winning team. And, you know, it's a patient strategy, and one that sometimes doesn't work out because the success level in drafting high school players in the first round is so mercurial.
Also led to 20 years of ineptitude.
Exactly. 2-1 coming to McCutchen, and he gets jammed and fouls it off.
That was a nice pitch by Matsuzaka. He does not pitch inside to right-handers as much, but you have to with McCutchen. If you just stay on the outside part of the plate, he will wear you out.
So much of Daisuke's game now is about the cutter, ball working away from the right-hand batter. But you can't argue with the level of success that Daisuke has achieved since he found his range with the Mets last September. And time asked for again.
You know, if I was pitching, I'd have to have a conversation with Jeff Nelson because it's just too late. You could injure yourself by calling a time that late.
Well, this goes back to the start that Daisuke made at Cleveland last year in the early part of September. Since then, a 2.21 ERA, which is 7th best in the major leagues. That's how good he's been. And this year pitching in every variety of role. McCutchen taps one foul. I mean, he's made 5 starts. This is his 6th. He has a save to his credit. He's worked multiple innings in relief when called upon. He spent some time in the minor leagues.
When you think about it, you could say that he's been one of the most valuable pitchers the Mets have had, and he might be going back in that bullpen at some point.
Well, the Mets have announced that Dylan G's second rehab start will be this Sunday for Brooklyn. Dan Warthen said he'll need one more after that. So, you know, right around the All-Star break, G should be ready to return. And then the question is, who goes to the bullpen? Will it be Daisuke or will it be Jacob deGrom? There goes Polanco, swung and foul tip. d'Arnaud's throw hits the runner. A stolen base for Polanco as McCutchen strikes out for the second out.
Well, first, good pitch by Matsuzaka as McCutchen fouls that to d'Arnaud. Made it tough for him to make a throw, and the ball ran into the runner, Polanco. Murph didn't get any leather on it, but luckily stayed in the infield because it hit Polanco.
It's got to be awfully tough, and I'm trying to think whether they're seeing a catcher throw out a base stealer on a foul tip.
It's almost impossible. It throws all your timing off.
You're making that adjustment to catching the ball and then having to get into your throwing mechanics. So here's Walker with the runner in scoring position and 2 out. Walker missed about 10 days after having his appendix out. Came back yesterday. He has blossomed into a frontline player. 11 home runs, 36 RBIs, leads the league in getting hit by pitches. He fouls back the first one.
Neil Walker was saying that he used you as the precedent because you were gone for 10 days after your appendectomy. He figured that was the time period before he could come back.
Yeah, that was a long time ago now. We're talking 8 years ago. I figure that medical science has probably taken some steps forward. He should have been back in 6. One of the reasons Daisuke has been this successful this year, 2 out runner in scoring position situations. The opposition is 0 for 18. And that's the spot for Walker as he sails up and away 1-1.
See, Daisuke is kind of finicky on the mound. He's not happy right now with repeating his delivery, his mechanics, as he tries to sort it out here in the first inning.
One coming to Walker, and he popped it up. Tejada at right, and Tejada takes charge. Side retired, so Matsuzaka able to work around the leadoff walk. That sends us off to the second in Pittsburgh with no score. Field for a concert after the Mets-Marlins game Saturday, July 12th as part of the Mets concert series presented by Dwayne Reed. Catch Huey Lewis and the News live in concert July 12th. For tickets, visit Mets.com/concert. Now, would you say Huey Lewis and the News is coming, or would you say Huey Lewis and the News are coming?
I would use are. Tough one, right?
Well, it's an entity.
That's right.
Now, if this were soccer, it would be is.
That's right.
Lucas Duda leads off the second inning. And, it depends on what the definition of is.
Is right. Were you all over the World Cup game today?
I was. It was the greatest loss in American history.
I love it.
I know it was confusing for a lot of people, but it was a loss to celebrate. Next up, if it's Tuesday, it must be Belgium.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
And with 6, you get egg roll.
Outlaw Stella Artois for a while.
Duda, 2 home runs in his last 9 at bats, including a 3-run pinch hit home run yesterday, and Worley runs that cutter in on him, 2-1. Duda, Abreu, and Lagares for the Mets in the second. Mets ran out their right-handed platoon yesterday, so we didn't see Duda or Abreu in the series against the A's. And Duda pops one up. Lone infielder on the left side is Alvarez, so he has to retreat to get it. 1 away. Well, Worley's already gone farther in this start than he did the last time he faced the Mets. 1 out and nobody on. Now Abreu. He hasn't started the game since last Friday in Miami. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens over the next couple of weeks with the Mets carrying 6 outfielders, all of whom have an argument to play.
Well, the issue I find interesting is that the 6 outfielders presents an infield problem because Tejada now does not have a backup, so you can't hit for him if you want to. If something were to happen to him, you were saying maybe Eric Campbell would go in the shortstop position.
That's what Terry said today. He said that if he needs an emergency shortstop, it'll be Eric Campbell. But he does not intend to, to use Campbell in a situation where you bat for Tejada or double switch him out of the game. That's not the level of confidence they have in Campbell. He's only played 2 games in his minor league career there. But it is interesting. But the rationale that Terry gave today for the decision to send Flores down and keep the 6 outfielders, as Abreu takes a strike, is that the Mets have lacked bench strength late in games, offensive bench strength, and they feel with Chris Young and Kirk Neuenhuis and many days Bobby Abreu on the bench late in games that they'll be a stronger team against opposition bullpens. And that was the rationale more than anything else. 1-2 from Worley, and the fastball just misses. 2-2.
Well, I don't care if they had Manny Mota and the gang against Sean Doolittle yesterday. It was no chance.
Juan Lagares getting ready for his first at bat off the disabled list, waiting on deck. Full shift on against Abreu. I'm not sure we've seen this before. There's 2-2. He fouls one at the plate. I mean, Abreu is such a spray hitter.
He is, though, but if you've noticed, especially in his starts, he's been looking inside and looking to pull, and I think that's where they've gotten their kind of new charts on Abreu here the second time around.
21st game that Abreu started for the Mets. Funny thing about Abreu is he was brought here to be a pinch hitter, brought in here to be a bench player, but he hasn't pinch hit well at all. What he's done is hit well in his starts, and of course run a lot of full counts. Right. He does.
It's interesting. You see his necklace there, a chain. He's got a ring attached to it. Don't see that very often.
3-2 from Worley, and it's a rocket into center field, a base hit for Abreu. Isn't that a typical Bobby Abreu at bat right there?
He took some unbelievable pitches. There was a 1-2 pitch that both Russell Martin and Worley thought was strike 3. Did not get the call from Nelson. Worked him to 3-2, so he got a fastball on a fastball count and hits a lenient.
So the Mets have their first base runner of the night, a 1-out single. And here's Lagares. Last time the Mets had Juan Lagares in the lineup, it was June the 1st. He had strained his side muscle the day before, but talked his way back into the lineup, and well, that proved to be not a particularly good idea. He aggravated the injury. He missed 22 games in this stint on the disabled list. His second DL stint of the year. Remember, he had a hamstring earlier in the year. Juan hitting at .295. It'll be interesting to see if he can maintain all the strides that he made offensively coming back from the DL. Didn't swing the bat particularly well during his rehab stint.
Well, when he struggles, he's got a big swing and chases bad pitches. When he doesn't, he has that short stroke and hitting balls in the strike zone.
Rounds one off the glove of Alvarez, who scampers after it and has no play. It's an infield hit for Lagares, and the Mets have 2 men on.
Well, you can't fault him here. He went way to his left, to Alvarez, and gets kind of a short hop, and the ball just scoots out of his glove, and Lagares too much speed.
So Lagares with a base hit and his first at bat back from the DL. And that'll get Travis d'Arnaud to the plate. Third game back from the minor leagues for d'Arnaud. Well, what a different look the Mets lineup has now with d'Arnaud and Lagares back in there.
Got some nice length to it. You know, if you're a pitcher and you're looking at the lineup, you're looking for easy outs. You don't see as many as you did before.
Well, especially with Tejada swinging the bat as well as he has for the last month. d'Arnaud hit a 3-run homer in his first game back from the DL, went 1 for 4 and scored a run in last night's game. It's Tejada, who is now the everyday and 9 innings every day shortstop. Abreu at second, Lagares at first with 1 out, and d'Arnaud has got a piece of that cutter, and it's 0-2. Retired the first 4 before giving up back-to-back hits, and now he strikes out d'Arnaud for his first strikeout of the night.
Good sinking fastball here by Worley. It's supposed to be away. Now let me take that bat. I think that was supposed to be a cutter or a slider. It just backed up on him. Kind of a lucky pitch, and it got d'Arnaud out.
So 2 out and 2 on, and now Tejada. 234 for Ruben is the highest his batting average has been in a long time. Go back the last 25 games now for Ruben. That's a month. Sitting .304 with a .415 on base percentage. So he has really picked up the offense, and it's one of the reasons why the Mets felt comfortable sending Flores back to the minors. Wilmer started 16 games at shortstop, brought up to provide competition to Tejada, and if that indeed was the case, it certainly brought out the best in Ruben.
Interesting when you're looking at the outfield. Harrison and Polanco pinched in a little bit, but McCutchen, interesting enough, one of the best center fielders, but plays awfully deep.
Boy, against Tejada, that's ridiculously deep to be playing. Two on and 2 out. And Ruben lines one into left field for a base hit. Here comes Abreu around third. Harrison loads up for the throw to the plate on a hop, and Abreu is tagged out by Martin. Side retired. Josh Harrison filling in for Starling Marte in left field, charged it beautifully, and a perfect 1-hop strike. No plate block, perfect tag. Abreu out at the plate. Mets are denied the first run of the game. Still no score. and Monongahela rivers where they form the Ohio.
You know, the first time I heard the word confluence, it was a reference by Robert Louis Stevenson to Pebble Beach, the golf course. They said the greatest confluence of meeting of land and sea.
So you got confluence from Robert Louis Stevenson. I got confluence from Ralph Kiner.
Both sages in their own right.
Daisuke Matsuzaka survived a leadoff walk in the first inning. Of course, here in Pittsburgh, as in New York, they mourn the loss of the great Ralph Kiner, who played the bulk of his career for the Pirates at Old Forbes Field here in Pittsburgh. Russell Martin leads off in the second, takes a breaking ball for a strike. Martin was just coming off the disabled list when we last saw him. There's the patch that the Pirates wear to honor Ralph. It was left field at Forbes Field that they dubbed Kiner's Corner. They originally dubbed it Greenberg's Gardens, but then after Hank Greenberg left the Pirates, it was rechristened Kiner's Corner,
wow,
which is where they got the name for it, the TV show. As Martin gets hit by the curveball from Matsuzaka, and for the second straight inning, the Pirates get a leadoff man on.
Just a breaking ball that he leaves inside, never breaks, and Martin takes it between the numbers.
The Pirates get hit by a lot of pitches. Walker leads the league with 11. Martin's now got hit by 10.
You know, they're kind of a swashbuckling team. They like to be known as kind of a tough playing team, and maybe that's why.
Swashbuckling? Pirates?
There you go.
Well, here's Ike Davis. You think of Ike as being a swashbuckler?
No, Ike's not in that group.
More of a landlubber.
Yeah, he's a free spirit.
Got the big smile. He and Travis d'Arnaud exchanging pleasantries as Ike steps in. He went 0 for 7 against the Mets in the first series, and he faced his old team at Citi Field in late May. He's been getting on base, but has not been hitting a lot of home runs. As Daisuke misses high. Since the trade on April 18th, if you want to compare Duda and Davis, Davis has the higher on base percentage by 11 points, but Duda has the higher slugging percentage by almost 90 points.
Which is a little ironic. I mean, it's upside down maybe to what you thought it would be.
Although, you know, it's funny, if you go back to last year after Ike came back, and there are the comparable numbers since the trade, and you know, Duda's hit for more power clearly, and Ike had marginally gotten on base more. But after Ike came back from the minor leagues last year before his season ended because of injury, that's exactly what he did.
You're right.
Threw a ton of walks, didn't hit many home runs. This is the player he has become, at least at this point. Now, whether he'll regain that big power stroke and be that 30 home run guy again, I think remains to be seen. Certainly the Pirates are hoping that that's exactly what happened. You see, since his demotion last year, look at that, 429 on base percent. But the home runs have pretty much disappeared.
Another big ballpark here for Ike to hit in. The thing about Ike that I always think about is that I always thought he would take the ballpark out of play, because when he hits them, I don't care what ballpark he's playing in. But he's become more patient, which has taken away some of his power.
Well, last year, the first 2.5 months, he was a mess. He was just chasing everything out of the strike zone. And that really changed pitchers' game plans against him. They felt as though they never needed to throw him a strike. So when they came back and they were executing the same game plan, all of a sudden he wasn't swinging at those pitches and he was walking a ton.
Ike looks good in that uniform, by the way.
Martin at first and nobody out. 1-2 from Daisuke, and he gets the double play ball to Murphy right at the bag for the easy 4-4-3 double play. 2 out and nobody on.
Well, this has been Daisuke all season long. He gets a guy on base. Somehow he makes the pitch exactly where he needs it. That ball is really middle. Ike misses it. And once it bounces twice, it's really right in the wheelhouse for Murphy to turn that double play easily.
Murphy sometimes rushes those plays. Knew he had plenty of time with Ike running. So 2 out and nobody on. And now Pedro Alvarez, who, like all Vandy grads, is living large today after Vanderbilt posted their first ever College World Series title last night by beating Virginia. Congratulations to all the Commodores.
See the big shift on Mr. Alvarez, who is all about power. You saw Brandon Moss in a series with the Athletics. Similar kind of player, all or nothing.
.230 hitter with 12 home runs. That's basically what he is. Very similar numbers to what he had last year. Big strikeout totals.
But the last 9 games against the Mets, he's wearing them out. .375, couple home runs, 6 RBI.
That's his hometown team.
That's right.
Pedro grew up in New York, went to Horace Mann. Another #1 draft pick for the Pirates. In fact, he was the 2nd overall pick in 2008.
Who was the #1 pick? Do we know? 2008. We'll get that for you. Any good lawyer, I'm not a lawyer, would ask a question he doesn't know the answer to.
To Alvarez. That was Tim Beckham, who went to the Rays. High school shortstop who never made it.
The Rays, who are always thought about as not making a lot of mistakes, made a little one there.
5th pick in that draft, Buster Posey.
No mistake there. Cotton candy.
Good changeup by Daisuke to strike out Alvarez, his 2nd strikeout. That takes care of the Pirates in the bottom of the 2nd. On we go to the 3rd in Pittsburgh. No score. The 3rd inning is brought to you by your Tri-State Audi dealers and the all-new Audi A3. Ducks on the pond.
Not yet.
Well, ducks on the river.
There you go.
Daisuke Matsuzaka leads off, 1 for 5 at the plate this year. And he takes a strike from Vance Worley, who gave up 3 hits in the 2nd inning, but no runs because of the heroics of Josh Harrison, who gunned down Bobby Abreu at the plate to end the inning.
Mr. Colon has thrown the gauntlet down. Baton down, sorry. No more ineptitude if you're a Mets pitcher. Hitting.
Well, first it was DeGrom to show him how to do it.
Yeah.
And then it was Colon to put it into practice. Daisuke with a slow roller. Tough play for Alvarez, and another bare hand play. This one he throws away, and Daisuke is safe at first. Well, he made a similar play on David Wright, but not this time.
I think that's a base hit. Dice K has decent speed for a pitcher going down the line, and that ball topped a little more difficult play.
And they will give him a hit. So Dice K is now 2 for 6, and he's up in DeGrom territory. By the way, you know, we've talked a lot over the last 18 hours since the Mets made the player move with Flores about who the backup shortstop should be. There's always Jacob DeGrom, you know. Shortstop of the Stetson Hatters. As Granderson has swung at the first pitch of the game and hit a comebacker.
I remember Tony La Russa came up to me when I was in Oakland. He said, "Hey, listen," he used to call me Load. "Hey, Load, I want you to take some balls in the outfield because you're going to be our 4th outfield for the next 4 or 5 days." And my first thinking about it was like, wow, that is awesome. I feel so great. And my second thought was, how bad are we that I have to be the 4th outfield?
See, now I have to ask you the obvious question.
No, I never got in the game.
No, that wasn't the question.
Oh, jeez.
No, the question is, why did he call you Load?
Oh, that was his pet name. He called, like most people, Load. That was his thing. Like, if you were not a Load, and a Load would be, for a ball player speak, you folks out there, is that you're kind of a pain in the you-know-what. So if you're not that kind of person, you're the opposite, then he would call you the Load.
I see. So did Davey call you Load?
Davey called me a lot of things. I was hoping that Davey would stop calling me stuff after a while.
Davis playing behind Matt Tazaka, and Granderson takes strike 3 called. He didn't think so. Jeff Nelson punches out Granderson, second strikeout for Worley.
That's that ball that starts inside and comes back over the inside part of the plate. Did you see Martin kind of frame that? You're going to see 2 catchers tonight, d'Arnaud and Russell Martin. Smaller size catchers who get down low and frame pitches and steal strikes.
So 1 out and 1 on. Daniel Murphy. Murphy grounded out to short his first time up. Snapping his 8 at bat hit streak against Worley. Busts him in with a cutter. 0-1. Worley's always had that cutter, but it seems like he's throwing it more than ever before.
Well, he's got to get in on the left-handed hitters because his strength is the changeup away and the sinker away. So to get to that pitch, he's got to pound the left-handers in.
He's doing that ahead on Murphy 0-2.
Well, this is a good late-breaking slider, hard slider from Vance Worley.
Murphy cranks one deep toward the right field corner. Back goes Polanco, and he makes the catch in the corner. Well, Murphy driving one, and Polanco with aplomb handles it for the second out.
That got up on the bat on Murphy just a little bit to keep that in the ballpark. We sit very high up here, so the ball by Harrison that he hit in the first inning and this ball by Murphy off the bat looked like it had a chance. But it stays in the ballpark. And Polanco, we haven't talked enough about his fine defensive play, too.
Truly a 5-tool player. He's got the great arm to go with that. So 2 out. Matsuzaka still at first, and here's Wright, who hit a slow grounder, and Alvarez made a bare hand play to throw him out. David started the night with a 9-game hitting streak. His 7-game RBI streak came to an end last night. These are much better times for David than when the Mets began their last road trip, when he just couldn't get out of the woods. Worley pumping in strikes 1-1.
I found it interesting talking to Terry Collins. He said that, how did Wright get out of his slump? He said he went to work, and he went to the videotape, and he went to the batting cages, and he just worked himself out of the slump.
To left, and Harrison coming on. That retires the side. Daisuke a leadoff hit. He's stranded at first. No score in Pittsburgh. game with insider info, opinion, and post-game reactions, plus a preview of tomorrow's game as Jacob deGrom looks for another win on Mets Blog, presented by Verizon, part of the SNY.TV Long Network. Daisuke Matsuzaka goes back to the mound for the bottom of the third after being on the bases for the last half inning.
I was really impressed how he ended the last inning, the strikeout to Alvarez on the changeup. That is a pitch that has gotten much better since Matsuzaka has become a Met.
Jordy Mercer will lead off in the home third. Mercer was really struggling with the bat when the Mets saw the Pirates last month. He's picked things up in two.
In fact, Barnes was playing most of the time at shortstop.
Mercer went 0 for 8 in that series against the Mets. Pirates didn't hit a lick for most of that series. They got shut out in the last game by Bartolo Colon and lost 2 of 3. But since their 12-20 start on May the 6th, the Pirates have the best record in the National League. It's 27-19, which is no great shakes, but you know, the league being what it is this year, that's the best record in the league over the last 7 weeks. I mean, the Giants have completely come back to the pack despite Lincecum's exploits, and nobody else has really taken off.
Except that the Brewers have been, you know,
they've been consistent.
Yeah.
Right from the start of the season, they've got the best record in the league. But I mean, nobody's put on that big run like the Dodgers did last year.
42-8 over a 50-game period.
That may not happen.
Clint Hurdle's looking for that run.
But the Dodgers have played well enough to take advantage of the Giants' stumbles to get within 3 games in that NL West. Daisuke behind 2-0 on Mercer, and he misses away. So gave up a leadoff base runner on a walk in the first, gave up a leadoff base runner on a hit batsman in the second, and in danger of giving up another leadoff base runner. Let's see how the Pirates have picked it up after their early stumbles. And it's outside, ball 4, so a 4-pitch walk to the number 8 hitter. And again, the Pirates have a leadoff base runner.
Those numbers we saw. It's amazing when you pitch better and you score more runs, you seem to play a little better. Not that hard.
So here's Worley. 0 for 6 this year. Lifetime 141 hitter.
Well, see the defense. David's going to try to take the bunt away. Mercer's got good speed at shortstop, so it'd be very difficult to have a play on second. At second, sorry. I wouldn't say Worley's a good hitter, but he handles the bat well enough to get the bunt down.
Looking down to Nick Leyva, his third base coach. There's Nick, the Phillies and Blue Jays manager. Nice bunt by Worley. Darno handles it. Worley's second sacrifice of the year goes 2-4, moving Mercer to second.
You know, we always talk about the great moments. First, the bunt, picture perfect textbook by Worley. That's almost exactly where you want to bunt it every time when you try to move the runner from first to second. That little spot in between, the confluence between the catcher, the first baseman, and the pitcher.
Very nice.
I was saying that we always talk about the players' exploits, but you think Nick Leyva will ever forget escorting Joe Carter in when he hit the home run? I don't think so.
1993, Game 6 at what was then known as Sky Dome. Blue Jays' second consecutive World Series championship. Blanco takes inside. Remember how their first one ended? 1992.
Bunt.
Otis Nixon tried to bunt his way on, and Mike Timlin threw him out, and that's how the '92 World Series ended. Mercer at second with 1 out. Blanco walked and stole the base his first time up. And the breaking ball gets away from Darno, and that'll move Mercer over to third. So a wild pitch by Matsuzaka puts the runner at third with 1 out.
Well, there's nothing that Darno could do here. It's supposed to be a backdoor slider. The ball hits in the other batter's block. Tries to keep it in front of him. He can't. Nice base running by Mercer. So all the fault there lies with Daisuke in the pitch.
So an interesting call for Terry Collins here. His team has been scoring lately, and probably because of that and the fact that you've got the top of the batting order up here, he's going to play the infield back. Concede a run, but try and stay out of the big inning.
I like that call. I think that earlier in the season he almost always had the infield in.
Dice-K behind 2-0. And Polanco lunges and pops one up in foul ground, but that'll go out of play. That's a veteran pitcher taking advantage of a young hitter right there.
Dice-K just does not give in. I mean, just that's who he has become. Just the opposite of when he was with the Red Sox. That hard fastball and slider every pitch.
Josh Harrison on deck. Andrew McCutchen behind him. Dice-K's lived the hard way. He's had 10 batters faced so far, fallen behind 2-0 on 5 of the 10, including Polanco. It's now 2-1 to him. Misses away with the fastball, 3-1.
You know, in some ways, that is the strength of Dice-K. And I know it's hard for me to say that, but 2-0 is fine for him because it almost gives him an automatic strike because he's going to throw something off speed.
And there's a strike, 3-2.
And what he had there is he had Polanco looking for something off speed, and he let a 3-1 fastball go by. Can't get a better pitch to hit than that for a left-handed hitter.
Well, in a spot where Dice-K could really use a strikeout. He's 3-2 on Polanco with a runner at third and 1 out. And that'll get the run in. Murphy throws out Polanco. Mercer comes in to score. The Pirates don't yet have a hit, but they have a 1-0 lead. A walk, a sacrifice, a wild pitch, and a ground out. Produce a run for Pittsburgh.
Good base running, good situational hitting by the youngster.
So 2 out and nobody on for Josh Harrison, who slugged one to deep left that Abreu caught right in front of the fence his first time up. By the way, Polanco conceded no ground on that 4-3, did he? He was flying out of the box. Harrison lines one right at Lagares, and he has his first chance of the game and handles it as he generally does. A run against Dice-K without a hit. 1-0 Pittsburgh after 3. It's now down 1-0. Duda popped up his first time up. Duda, Abreu, and Lagares to bat against Worley in the fourth. That's Worley making his third start for the Pirates. His first time out, he threw 7 scoreless innings against the Marlins. Got no decision in that game. And he went 6 2/3 against the Cubs and got a 5-3 victory. So far so good for Worley, who may be pitching for a job on this Pirates staff. They're going to bring Garrett Cole, their young ace, off the disabled list on Saturday to start against the Mets.
Always the big shift for Lucas.
Trickles foul. And Worley's going tonight. They've got Brandon Compton, a young right-hander, going tomorrow, and one of those two you would think is going to have to exit the rotation with Cole's return.
The only difference is Worley is out of options, so he'd have to clear waivers, and Compton is not. So there's Garrett Cole, right?
He burst on the scene last year and had a huge presence for the Pirates during their stretch drive last year. 1-2 now to Duda.
He's another one of those young, hard-throwing guys that averages about 95 on his fastball.
UCLA guy.
Yep.
We'll see him on Saturday afternoon. Duda hits one down the left field line, headed toward the corner. That ball is out of here. Lucas Duda tucks one inside the left field foul pole. His 12th home run of the year, and the Mets tie the game at 1. Now Duda with his 3rd home run in his last 11 at bats, and he's used the entire ballpark.
You know, we've been listening to Terry Collins talk for years about Lucas Duda. When he first saw him, said he was a guy that could hit the ball out of any ballpark to any field. We have not seen it as a Met, but we're starting to see it.
That's running the car wash for the home run hitters.
That is
become their new thing.
You know, whenever I watch this kind of stuff, now this is just a fastball away. And I don't know if he was going that way, Gary. That looked like maybe it was just a little late kind of swing, but it no matter.
325 down that line. He hit it 326. All that was necessary. Not sure I've ever seen Lucas hit a home run to that part of a ballpark before. We've seen him as a left center, but not down the left field line like that. It's like a Ryan Howard home run. 1-1 to Abreu, single to center his first time. Well, that's his first.
Right. Well, the 2 home runs to center field. One was in yesterday's ball game, and of course that one in Philadelphia, I guess, would constitute being in center field, left center.
The Mets all of a sudden have become a home run hitting team. Now homered in 5 straight games. Yanked foul down past Bob Guerin, who's filling in as first base coach for the Mets.
Nice play down there. Outstanding.
Guerin filling in for Tom Goodwin, who's away on a family matter.
How about Bobby Abreu swinging 3-0? The most patient of hitters.
We've seen a lot more of that from the Mets this year, haven't we?
Yeah.
Even David Wright. Curtis Granderson. We've seen Duda swing 3-0.
It's all around baseball. Derek Norris, who we didn't see play until the last inning of yesterday's ball game, had 2 home runs in 1 game where he swung 3-0.
Three and 2 to Abreu. And Bobby takes inside, ball 4. First walk given up by Worley, who had walked only 1 batter over his first 2 starts. And so Abreu on for the second time.
So one problem with the sports glasses that you wear, that Worley wears, that sometimes they become steamed up.
Especially as you get to this humid time of year.
Well, it's humid time of year, and a home run and a walk tend to steep him up a little bit.
So here's Lagares, who hit a shot off Alvarez's glove for an infield hit in his first at bat back from the disabled list. And if you stretched over the 22 games he missed, Lagares now has a 7-game hitting streak. And with that base hit, is right on the cusp of hitting 300 for the year. I asked Juan today about the injury that knocked him to the DL, and remember he came back and played after he first got. He said, the problem is I had never had that before, so I didn't know exactly what it was, and it seemed like nothing. It's something I could play through, but it turned out that he then aggravated and had to sit out for 3 weeks. And that's as strike 3 called, and Lagares caught looking. Third strikeout for Worley.
This is a good pitch here by Worley. That fastball that comes back over the outside part of the plate. Nothing Lagares could do there.
And Ronnie, that's going to be a problem for any young player, knowing, you know, what you can play through and what you need to put on the brakes for.
You know, I think one of the great things about Juan is that he plays through pain. You never see him show any, like when he gets hit by a pitch or something happens on the bases. He plays through it. There's a certain toughness to the way he plays.
No Yanks win foul.
The problem is he's got to use intelligence, and it's hard for a young player because you're thinking to yourself, boy, I don't want to get a reputation as a guy who sits out when I have a small injury, and 2, you don't want to get out of the lineup.
Well, and in Lagares' case, he'd already been on the disabled list with a hamstring injury, which was also a new thing for him. So. Darno struck out his first time up, and he hits one in the air to left field, hit pretty well, but Harrison back should have room on the track and makes the catch. And back to first base goes the Brave. So just as Harrison did earlier in the game, Darno hitting into that big left field, and the ballpark big enough to hold it.
Let me ask you. You're used to sitting high when you were a kid at Shea Stadium.
Right.
When that ball left the bat, I thought it was a home run. But you, I heard your call. You did not think it was hit center.
You know, it's very interesting you said that, because this is the second highest broadcast location that we go to. Washington is about 2 stories higher.
Mount Olympus, yeah.
Yeah. And I feel very comfortable up there because of 500 nights sitting in the upper deck at Shea. You're right. It's a very similar vantage point.
Yeah.
There's Tejada, who had a base hit, and he's hit by the pitch. So Tejada gets hit by the pitch, and I get hit by Ronnie's pen cap.
That's right.
What kind of reaction was that?
Well, you know, sometimes up here, folks, it's very interesting. Like when things happen in the game, I don't know, I react. So if a guy gets hit by a pitch, I'll kind of make a sound so Gary will know maybe it's hit by a pitch. If it's a ground rule double, I'll kind of do this to say that it bounced over. And this time I slap my hands, and the pen went shooting this way. So
Tejada gets hit.
You got hit.
I get the rebound.
Okay, you're not injured, are you?
It's like a twofer. It's Daisuke, who trickled one for an infield hit his first time up, and he fouls back to first offer. So if nothing else, the Mets clear the pitcher spot here in the 4th inning.
Just do not make these big pins like you used to.
You use that old-fashioned big pen that we all used when we were.
That's right.
12 years old. Line drive. Harrison playing shallow and able to come in and grab it to retire the side. So Daisuke hitting it solidly. Lucas Duda ties up the game. Just tucked it inside the foul pole for his 12th of the year. Duda gets the Mets even and gets the car wash. 1-1. the AT&T fan photo of the game. I'm telling you, babies and dogs.
That's Cowbell Man. You know, we mentioned him in a broadcast, and after the game was done, I had to go out and get a cab or a car service, and he was there, and he was so happy and thanking us for mentioning him. I mean, he couldn't have been any nicer about hearing his name on the broadcast.
You know,
Nice
Cowbell Man is the greatest.
Yeah.
The problem is he's not as much in evidence now at Citi Field as he was at Shea. Here's Andrew McCutchen leading off in the home fourth and takes a home run cut. 0-1.
Is that because you could walk anywhere in Shea? Is that the deal?
Right. He could go up and down the aisles. You can't really do that at Citi Field, so he's kind of in the back of the aisles where we can't see him. I know a lot of the fans can. Yes, don't hear him as cowbelly as he used to.
We need more cowbell.
Yeah. Drilled to left by McCutchen. Braves going to have to play it off the wall. McCutchen racing to second, and they'll pull in with a leadoff double. First hit for the Pirates tonight off Dice K.
Interesting pitch there. Just a little changeup that was supposed to be away and down by Dice K. And it was left on the inside part of the plate. And McCutchen is quick as any right-handed hitter in the game.
So the Pirates get the leadoff man on for the fourth straight inning. And now Neil Walker, who popped up to short his first time up.
Pittsburgh hitters starting to make the adjustment to first pitch breaking ball, maybe sitting on it.
This is a Pirate team that came into the night with one collective at bat in their careers against Daisuke Matsuzaka. Only Russell Martin had ever had an at bat against him.
Hitting coach Jeff Branson.
Pesky left-hand hitter.
Yes, he was.
Ball to strike to Walker. Do you think if you have a team that's never faced a pitcher before that it's easier or harder to prepare for a veteran pitcher on whom there's voluminous video and charts, or preparing for a rookie pitcher who may not have as much of a track record?
I always think that for the hitters, a rookie pitcher is always tougher. The problem that Pittsburgh probably faced coming into this game is that they have all this data on Dice K, but he's changed and kind of morphed into a different kind of pitcher than the one you had with the Red Sox. So that would be a little bit of an issue for the Pirates.
And I would think that no matter who you're scouting, that you would always go with the most recent evidence in terms of the way a guy works and what he likes to throw in certain situations. Matsuzaka ahead in the count on Walker, 1-2. As McCutchen dances off second. Walker goes down on the breaking ball, and that's the first out of the inning. Big strikeout for Dice K, his third of the night.
Two good plays there. One, the breaking ball from Dice K, and Travis d'Arnaud with a nice block on that ball out of the strike zone. The one thing I would do, Gary, we're talking about scouting Dice K, I would eliminate his relief appearances. Because he's more of a two-pitch pitcher on his relief appearances, so you've got to get those out of the system and concentrate on his starts.
Where he's a 5-pitch pitcher, at least.
Exactly.
There's Russell Martin, who got hit in the back by a curveball his first time up. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
Russell Martin is a very interesting player. He started off as a kid that you thought was going to be a phenomenal player, kind of who you think Travis d'Arnaud is going to be at some point. Great defensively, great offensively. Kind of the offense dried up, but he's reinvented himself as an outstanding defensive catcher with great pop.
And what he's been able to do is get on base at a tremendous rate. His on base percentage is over 400 this year.
And I think early in his career there was the whispers of You know, he's a guy that maybe doesn't take care of himself, and it's a leadership position, but he's turned himself into a great leader.
Well, he was a huge acquisition for this Pirate team last year in enhancing what was a dominant pitching staff. McCutchen advancing on that ground ball to Tejada, and that's the second out. McCutchen's such a good base runner. I mean, that's an in-between play, but he got such a good jump.
He's just so well schooled. Now they say if the ball is to your right, you don't advance. But the smart base runners know if it's hit to my right and not hard enough, I can still advance. Just those are instincts, baseball instincts. It's hard to teach those.
McCutchen just had a really nice experience this week. You know, he's from Fort Meade, Florida. Had never played at Tropicana Field before, right near his hometown, and got to do that this week. And the Pirates played the Rays, so he got to have a lot of family around. Here's Ike Davis with a runner at third and 2 out. Ike grounded into a double play his first time up.
Now pretty interesting with David Wright playing 30 or 40 feet off third base. McCutchen gets far enough that he gets right into the eyesight of Dice K, and just making his presence known.
And strutting down the line as Ike is badly fooled on that curveball. That's one ugly swing.
Or you could say it's the slowest swing ever taken. One or the other.
I mean, you couldn't sweep your floor with a swing like that. What I love about McCutchen coming down the line against Dice K is that he's strutting.
He's strutting. There's a little bit of
everything to get his attention.
There's a little bit of dancing. Yeah.
Well, it's not like he's trying to creep and be inconspicuous.
Some players are sturdy. Some try hard. Some are guys that get the uniform dirty. McCutchen's cool.
Stopped by Darno, and it's 3-1 to Davis. So I count in the Pirates starting lineup tonight, including Alvarez on deck, Ike Davis, McCutchen, Walker. That's 4 first-round draft picks in their starting lineup today. Cream rises, right?
Now McCutchen's in the sprinter stands.
And there's a walk to Davis. Third walk given up by Matsuzaka. And so he'll deal with Alvarez instead.
Interesting, isn't it, that the Clint Hurdles put the 2 left-handers together, and 2 guys that tend to strike out a lot together in his lineup.
Yeah, he could have put Davis ahead of Martin, and Martin would have split up the 2 left. He's almost got Alvarez positioned as a second cleanup hitter in that lineup. You know?
Yes, he does. Well, it's the defense again, where you're saying to Alvarez, now listen, it's all or nothing with his game. If you want to bunt one over there, we'll give you a run and an RBI.
And by the way, McCutchen could steal home in a blink if he's so inclined. Right, playing 75 feet off the line. I mean, that's how far McCutchen can come down the line. And why wouldn't you? This really puzzles me.
Yeah.
Because if you're McCutchen, who's fast anyway, you can come as far down the line as Wright is away from the line and steal home with no problem.
I think what happens for the base runners is there's fear that the hitter's not going to know to let him steal and swing the bat.
Have a sign.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's a gift run, and nobody wants to take advantage of it. Not quite sure why.
And he gets picked off, does Ike, and now McCutchen coming to the plate, and the run will score before Wright puts the tag on, and the Pirates take the lead. A design play with Davis taking off from first, and the Pirates do steal a run.
I mean, bad play by Lucas. You can't get rid of that ball so quickly. You have to look back. The runner, McCutchen, at third. And a lot of that design play, why did it happen? Because McCutchen was allowed to get as far as he could up third.
So it goes as a 1-3-5 caught stealing, but the Pirates take the lead. On the river on this play, the lows never stop improving.
Well, you see the defense. So what you're telling is that in this situation, all Ike has to do is get in a little bit of a rundown because David's got to cover second base. So McCutchen can go as far as he wants to go. So you can play that shift until you're blue in the face. But every time you do it, if you have a team that is smart and intelligent, they can take advantage of it every single time.
So the Mets down 2-1. Curtis Granderson takes wide for ball one. Now, McCutchen does not get credit for a steal at home because there was a caught stealing on the play. So it's simply a fielder's choice scoring the run. But there's really no way to defend that the way the Mets were set up, because if Duda throws home, McCutchen walks back to third base. The only way I would think that you could do it differently is once Daisuke throws to first, he's got to go cover third.
Yeah, and you know, he's not going to get there in time because he's probably got to back up home maybe at some point. I think really the only play for Duda there is to hold on to the ball, try to get Ike into a rundown, and if he sees a spot where he can fire to David and a quick tag, then you do it. If you don't, you know what he does? Hold on to the ball. Let him take the base. Now you have second and third and 2 outs with a guy who strikes out a lot. Mets not ready for that play. Who knew Ike's wheels were going to play a part in this game?
It's going to kill his stolen base percentage. It's ball 4 to Granderson, and the Mets get the leadoff man on in the 5th. Granderson's 48th walk of the year. He's third in the league in walks. One of the reasons why Terry's felt good about putting him in the leadoff spot on occasion. So the tying run aboard for Murphy, who's 0 for 2, grounded out and flied out. Mets fell behind 1-0, tied it on Duda's home run. Now down 2-1, looking to find the equalizer again. Another soccer term.
Very nice. Sorry, I'm still just perturbed at the play because, you know, I know that there's certain things that teams like to do now, but what you're telling me is that you have put a defense on that is not, that can't defend a play, that can't defend a play. Anyone could be at first base, and if they get picked off, the only thing Duda can really do is either hold on to the baseball, because the third base runner can get as far as he wants. No one can go to third.
I would argue, Rodney, that Ike giving himself up in that spot wasn't even necessary. I mean, if McCutchen takes all the liberties that he's being granted on that play and comes 70 feet down the line, he can steal home by himself.
That's right. It's a play that's going to have to be re-looked at by the Mets.
Well, by every team. I mean, they're not the only ones. I mean, everybody's playing that kind of shift in situations like that.
Well, the other team I've seen do that is the Brewers. We'll do that also with Ron Renicky, the manager.
Now, you know, many teams in a situation like that with a runner at third, even if they are over shifting, they'll keep the third baseman closer to the line to prevent that kind of a play. 1-1 to Murph, and he fouls it away.
And you'll hear this argument, and this is another one that'll frustrate me. Well, they had their home run hitter up, so they only scored one when he could have hit a 3-run homer. Well, he also strikes out a lot.
Well, that is
220.
I mean, it's an interesting comment by Clint Hurdle, isn't it, that he was willing to sacrifice the third out with Alvarez at the plate to get the run home, right? There's the 1-2. Murphy takes just inside. Worley thought he had it. 2-2.
Good take by Murph, just inside. Good call by Jeff Nelson, home plate umpire.
2-2 coming. And he slaps it foul to stay alive. Murph was concerned that his foul ball might have hit somebody, but I think everybody's okay. Granderson at first and nobody out with Wright on deck.
Murphy pulls one down to Davis, and Mo throws to second and gets the out.
Boy, I thought for sure that he had lost the play at second, but he put a lot on it and got Granderson to get the lead man.
Terry's going to go out there, but from my vantage point, definitely out at second base. Bobbled by Ike and a strong throw. And we'll see if we have another shot of it. An almost double play turned over. One good stop by Ike. That ball was hit right on the nose. And a close play at second. A lot closer than I thought.
Terry is not going to challenge. So it's a 3-6 fielder's choice erasing Granderson. I just thought as far as that ball rolled away from Ike that he'd take the out at first, but he aggressively went for the lead man.
That was that 95 that he used to throw.
That's exactly right. That's that Sun Devil fastball. So 1 out and 1 on. Here's Wright, who's grounded to third and flied to left. 0 for 2. So Murphy, who had ownership of Worley, has ceded some of the property. After his 12 for 17 coming into the game, he's 0 for 3 tonight.
Well, he hit a bullet there. Just unfortunate. It was right at Ike.
Well, do we know that all the hits he had were not bloops? Could have been some evening of the score. Double play ball. Walker to Mercer. And the 4-6-3 double play retires the side. Halfway through, 2-1 Pittsburgh. play at second base in that last half inning.
You know what's interesting is a good slide by Curtis, but it seems like when he went into it, his foot just popped in the air enough that by the time it hit the base, Mercer just had caught the ball, and he couldn't challenge it because it's too close anyway. Have you noticed that's the one thing about the replay that has kind of morphed, is that if it is close, it's always staying with the original call, which it should anyway.
Well, that's you know, they do have 3 separate categories on those challenges: overturned, confirmed, but then the middle ground is call stands, which means that it's inconclusive. And I think on most close plays, that's what ends up happening. Whatever the call is on the field is the one that remains in effect. Pedro Alvarez back at the plate. He was batting when the Pirates stole that run in the last inning. Struck out and was only at bat in the second. Lower third of the order up against Daisuke. He gave up leadoff base runners in each of the first 4 innings. He'd love to get a leadoff man out for a change, take a little pressure off. He's been pitching out of the stretch all night. Even pitching out of the stretch with nobody on. Into the shift. Murphy can't get it, and Alvarez has a base hit. So even with 3 infielders on the right side and playing in the outfield, they still couldn't cut off Alvarez's ground ball hit.
Well, Murph goes to his right, and the ball just beats him to the spot.
So that's 5 straight innings now. The Pirates have the leadoff man on. And now the number 8 hitter Mercer, who scored the first run for the Pirates. A walk, a sacrifice, a wild pitch, and a ground out. So Pirates have played small ball tonight to score their 2 runs. That's played long ball for their 1 on Duda's home run. And a curveball from Daisuke in for a strike.
Mercer's an interesting player, good defensive player, but a guy that he reminds me a little bit of Kevin Elster, who played with the Mets in his day. He's got some pop, and sometimes that works to his disadvantage because it's kept his average down.
Mercer out of Oklahoma State. Toward the hole, Tejada with a great stop, and he gets the force. Beautiful play, Ruben Tejada.
Well, why was Flores sent down? Not only because Tejada's been better at the plate, but his defense has just exponentially got better since the beginning of the season. It's as good a play as you're going to get.
Another close play at second. No sign of Clint Hurdle to even think about a challenge. So a fine play by Tejada to get the first out. Mercer now aboard with 1 out, and Worley, who sacrificed successfully his first time, will probably be asked to do that again. Daisuke with the best weapon against the sacrifice, the up and in pitch.
Now I'm looking at Vance Worley. He looks like someone to me, and now I've come up with it. He looks like Val Kilmer's character in Tombstone. That's what his look to me looks like.
Not familiar.
Doc Holliday.
Not familiar with that look. And he swings away and lines one over short for a base hit. So they took the bunt off. Worley has his first hit of the season. And the Pirates have 2 men on.
Well, the phrase that is used is butcher boy. You fake the bunt, you take it back as the infielders are crashing. Watch Duda coming, and David sets himself, and you take a swipe at it, and a base hit.
See, you know what that tells me? You see how when he pulled the bat back and went for the butcher boy, his hands were about, what, 4 inches up on the bat, maybe 5? Why wouldn't a pitcher choke up every bat to give themselves a better chance to put the ball in play?
Because pitchers at some point think they really can hit. That's the problem.
There's Gregory Polanco.
And it's funny you say that. If there's one, I have 1,000 regrets because that's just how I am. But if I had to do it over again, I would have choked up and just been a guy to put the ball in play. But because I had a little bit of talent as a hitter, I thought I was going to be a good hitter, which I wasn't. Pitching just too tough.
He homered in back-to-back starts.
I had the week.
Strike to Polanco, 1-1. But I mean, for most pitchers, their best hope is to put it in play and hope something good happens. Try to avoid being struck out. That'd be a nice lesson. Polanco walked and stole a base in the first, drove in a run with a ground out in the third. He would be a very tough man to double up.
Polanco thought both of those pitches were balls, but you know the difference? Travis d'Arnaud steals strikes for his pitchers. Watch his glove. Just snaps it up at the very end to just bring it up that 2 or 3 inches that gets you the call.
It's an amazing skill because he almost catches the ball with his glove pointed down, which I don't know how you do.
What it tells you is that he's got to have incredibly strong hands and forearms to be able to take a 90-mile-an-hour pitch and kind of overpower the ball when it hits his glove. David's so far off that line, but not a ton of speed at second base.
Trickles away from d'Arnaud, and the runners will move up.
Okay, that'll be a pass ball. Why? Well, he's trying to steal a strike again, but sometimes in trying to steal a strike, you don't catch it in the webbing. So he is just trying to snap that into the strike zone, and it cost him a pass ball. Well, I think it's a pass ball.
Well, it's got to be. So now 2 in scoring position. Mets down by a run in the 5th. They'll play the infield back here with 1 out. 2-2 to Polanco. And it misses inside, a full count.
I've been really impressed by the patience of this young hitter. Most of the time when you see these guys come up to the major leagues, they can't wait to swing the bat. And he's got a real knowledge of the strike zone.
One of the things that's remarkable about his minor league numbers the last couple of years has been his ability to draw walks. 3 plate appearances tonight. He's already seen 17 pitches. 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. 3-2 to Polanco. He slaps one foul. The Worley at bat, a huge turning point in this inning. He was trying to give the Mets a second out, and instead picked up a base hit. Now a base hit could score a pair. This will be the 8th pitch of the at bat from Matsuzaka to Polanco. And he clocks one to deep right field. Forget it. That is way out of here. A 3-run homer for Gregory Polanco, his 2nd major league home run, and the Pirates have a 5-1 lead. Quite a first few weeks in the big leagues for Polanco. Tonight he's got a 4 RBI night.
Daisuke shook off Travis d'Arnaud twice to get to the backdoor curveball, backdoor slider I mean, and he left it in the heart of the plate.
Only the 2nd home run that Daisuke Matsuzaka has allowed this season.
And no doubt about it. No need to even look at that.
The only other home run Daisuke has allowed this year was to Yangervis Solarte of the Yankees, who I don't think has had a hit since. And now Polanco with the 2nd. This one a 3-run shot, and it changes the nature of this game.
See the problem there, and Daisuke has done an amazing job of it all season long, is that it's a 3-2 pitch. it's a 2-1 game you're losing, you cannot forget that you had a base open. And you have to make sure that it's your pitch. You can even bounce it. Worst that happens, he ends up at first base, bases loaded, and you go to work on Harrison. It's like you have to protect the deficit of 2-1.
Harrison tonight has fly deep to left and lined out to center. He's swung the bat well tonight despite his 0 for 2. Andrew McCutchen on deck. Hard-working inning for Daisuke. He's already thrown 21 pitches. And this one's popped up. Tejada taking charge. And that's the second out. Here's tonight's Verizon trivia question. Ralph Kiner hit the most home runs from 1946 to 1955. 369 in his 10 big league seasons. Who had the second most home runs over that span?
That's a great question.
I've got a good guess.
You do.
I don't know if it's right. Here's McCutchen. Takes one on the dirt for ball 1.
There's a real stoicism to McCutchen's game. Just gets in that batter's box, gets his feet planted, and just is in kind of attack mode. Rests that bat on his shoulder until the pitcher's ready. And then he gets ready.
Fly ball deep left. Back goes Abreu onto the warning track. And just enough room to make the catch. Second time tonight, Abreu's backed up near the wall. Ballpark was big enough to hold McCutchen's ball, but not Polanco's. 3-1 homer for the rookie. His second big league home run stretches the Pittsburgh lead to 5-1 after 5.
Back at PNC Park, where Lucas Duda will lead it off for the Mets. He's got the Mets offense today, a home run to left field. And, you know, we probably won't know if the idea of the Mets picking Duda over Ike Davis is is the right choice for a long time, for many years. But I talked to a scout today and asked his idea about it. He said, I'll tell you what, for me, even before the Mets made a decision, it was a no-brainer. I would have taken Duda too, because I thought, this is the scout speaking, that he just had so fewer holes in his swing that Ike Davis did. He said, there were a lot of things this year too that I've seen from him that I hadn't seen in a while. Like, and guys, you addressed it, of course, with the home run. Going the other way. He said the last year, as I saw him, he went the other way 3 times for base hits. He hadn't done that in a long time. I think he's been more aggressive this year, and I think it's pretty clear that he has been more aggressive, especially of late. I mean, here's one thing to back that up. He's got 11 hits on the first pitch this year. The other 4 years in the league, he's got just 23 hits on the first pitch. So he is being more aggressive. And then there's this. A big reason why the Mets like this choice is, other than what their eyes told them, what their scouts told them, Mark Simon of ESPN tweeted this out today, and multiple video services come up with this hard hit rate, guys. It's subjective. They take it and see lines rise off the sweet spot. That's a shot. Thankfully, there's a net there, so DeGrom is not killed. But Lucas Duda is 8th in the league in hard hit baseballs. Why does that matter, you say? Well, because then you go the other side on those hard hit balls. He's only got base hits 60% of the time, which is near the bottom. So the thinking is, hey, he hits the ball hard an awful lot, so that's got to turn. Some of those have got to fall in. They think that average will get up there. We'll see if they're right.
Well, the other piece about that, there's a ground ball into the shift, and an easy play for Davis with a 3-1 putout. Duda is the only Met in the top 60 of hard hit ball list. So he becomes a vital piece for the Mets because he gives them that power presence that they don't have a lot of.
Is that with the exit velocity kind of deal also, just how hard the ball is hit?
Carlos Torres up in the bullpen. I think it's more of a visual thing.
Okay.
The services that do that do it based on visual evidence rather than
speed or
rather than exit velocity.
Yeah.
Here's Abreu, who's singled and walked in his 2 plate appearances.
Sorry, Gary. I was going to say it's ironic, right? I mean, I guess you would classify that as a sabermetric stat, but it really is reliant on the eyes.
So, and that's true. There are so many more statistics that we're getting these days that are based on people poring over video and using video evidence, especially as far as some of the newer defensive stats in terms of plays where that are harder plays that they get rated on, rather than just basing defensive numbers on how many balls are played in a certain zone or something like that.
In my scorebook will pull a star if it's an outstanding play.
I mean, we watch every Mets game and can rate plays on our own. But somebody's got to watch every game and use the same objective criteria to be able to, give a little bit more knowledge as far as how players rate against each other. 2-1 to Abreu. And if you can use that in conjunction with some of the advanced metrics, then you get a clearer picture. Nobody has yet come up with perfect defensive metrics, but they're getting better and better.
And that's good. It's a good thing.
Because that is the hardest part of the game to judge.
And I think when they first came out, it was one of the weaker stats that they had.
Right into the shift. And easy play for Walker to make on Abreu, 2 out.
The first pitch to Lucas Duda, I don't know if you noticed it, Gary, but it was a pitch that I haven't seen in quite some time, and I call it the puff pitch. Vance Worley got a lot of rosin. Watch when he throws his first pitch, his breaking ball. Watch what comes out of his hand. You see that all the rosin come off the baseball. That's a thing that was commonly used by pitchers a long time ago to try to fool the hitters. And even Lucas Duda looked at it twice. I mean, watch this come out of his hand. All you can see is the rosin coming off the ball. And Lucas, after he took that pitch, gave Worley a double look. Puff ball. Just when you want to change it up a little bit, and it makes the hitters very angry.
You don't want to get them too angry. Garris with a hard cut, fouls one back, and it's 0-2. Juan is 1 for 2 in his return to the lineup. And an infield hit in the second. Took a call, third strike in the fourth. By the way, doesn't matter what rating you use, Lagares is still better than anybody else in center field.
Yes, he is.
Worley, for the most part, 11 counts he's had today, 0-2 or 1-2. That's working ahead. His issue, though, is that he doesn't have overpowering stuff. So even though he gets 0-2, 1-2, he doesn't have that one nasty pitch that can put you away. He's got some very good pitches, but not that great equalizer where when he gets ahead of you, he can just bury you.
Well, he started out with the Phillies, traded to the Twins in the deal that sent Ben Revere to Philadelphia. Didn't work out for Minnesota. But the Pirates hoping to get him on the rebound. His third start, and he's pitched well. Lagares shoots one right at the shortstop, Mercer. And that retires the side. A 1-2-3 inning for Worley on 3 ground balls. 5-1 Pittsburgh. All right, Janae, you see the Mazda numbers on Dice Game out Suzaka. Not his best effort tonight. Leadoff man has reached base in all 5 innings. Gregory Polanco's 3-run homer, giving the Pirates some breathing room. Neil Walker 0 for 2 tonight. He's popped a short and struck out. Walker, Martin, and Davis up against Dice K in the 6th.
Walker now 1 for 8 since coming off the DL. He's a big part of their lineup, isn't he? I mean, I know it's obvious he's in the 4th slot, but it seems when he is going well, they play well.
He's a Pittsburgh native. He grew up a huge fan of the Pirates. He has been kind of their heart and soul the last few years, trying to get hit by the pitch there. We mentioned he leads the league in getting hit. He's got that Ron Hunt ethic. I'll get on base any way I can. Strikes out on the splitter by Daisuke. 4 strikeouts for Matsuzaka. Second time he's gotten Walker. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Russell Martin. Playing Come Together as his walk-up music.
I was just thinking the same thing. He is the only ball player I've ever heard that uses Come Together.
That is awesome.
Well, he comes from a musical family, so
become old flat top.
Yeah.
That's true. He's from a family of musicians growing up in Montreal. Martin's been hit by a pitch and grounded to short tonight, 0 for 1. Hit hard. David Wright with a beautiful backhand scoop. Beautiful play by Wright for the second out.
Well, David has become so adept at that short hop. We saw it a couple times against the Oakland A's in that series, and here just gets down, like he gets almost his face down level with the ground. Watch him get his head like down level with the ground, parallel at least, not level, parallel with the ground. It makes it a little easier to make that play.
Coming to a fronton near you.
Very nice.
2 out and nobody on. Now Davis. Mack is grounded into a double play. And then he walked in the 4th and then helped a run score by getting in a rundown and allowing the lead run to come home.
That will be a play that'll keep the manager and his coaches in the old days up all evening, talking about it, how are we going to protect it, make sure it doesn't happen again in the series. And Clint Hurdle is saying, I knew we could do that.
Let's answer our Verizon trivia question. Second most home runs from 46 to 55 behind Ralph Kiner. I guess Duke Snider.
Oh,
I was wrong.
Okay, stand the man.
Strike 2-1 to Davis.
Ike always looks the same, doesn't he?
I miss Ike questioning the umpire on every strike call. Now we only have Murphy doing that.
Yeah.
Daisuke missing high, and he falls behind on Ike 3-1. Matsuzaka has walked 3, struck out 4. Allowed 5 runs on only 4 hits. Kind of a typical Daisuke game in some ways, except for the 3-run homer. And there's another walk. His 4th of the night. So a 2-out walk to Davis, who's on base for the second time. And now Pedro Alvarez, who had a base hit through the shift into right center. Mets are going to get their bullpen cranking up again with Daisuke at 94 pitches for the night. This time they can put on the full shift with no downside.
Yes.
Carlos Torres up again. Davis at first and 2 out. I don't think I can be running this time. Line into right center, a base hit for Alvarez. Cut off by Granderson. Davis goes first to third. And the Pirates have runners at the corners with 2 out. Second hit of the night for Pedro Alvarez. He was now 6 for 12 against Met pitching this year. It's .230 against the rest of the league.
Looks like Danny Worthing's going to come out for a little bit of a stall tactic here for Terry Collins and the crew. These visits are always difficult for the pitching coach and the pitcher. Why? Because he really doesn't have a lot to say to you other than he got 2 outs and somehow try to get out of this inning. And you as a pitcher just realize that you're just about done in this ball game because of your line.
Torres getting himself ready. Daisuke just trying to stagger his way through this 6th inning. It'll be due a turning back in the 7th. Jordy Mercer has scored 2 runs tonight. He walked and scored in the 3rd. Then he was robbed of a hit by Tejada, who got a forced play in the 5th, and he came in front of Alvarez's home run. In Philadelphia, the Marlins just went back in front of the Phillies 3-2 on their 3rd solo home run of the night. Marcell Ozuna going deep this time. They're up 3-2 in the 7th. Right here, 1st and 3rd and 2 out for Mercer. And he hits one in the air to left. Should be easy for Abreu. And that retires the side. So Matsuzaki able to get through 6. Mets down in this game 5-1. And remember our great friend, Hall of Famer Ralph Kiner, applied his trade here in Pittsburgh brilliantly for 10 years. Sunday and an all-new Mets insider. He's a star on the field and in the community. Get an inside look at David Wright's charity work and how he's become a role model for his younger teammates on Mets Insider, presented by WB Mason, Sunday at 5, only on SNY. Here's your Mets box score brought to you by Chrysler. Lucas Duda's home run accounting for the only Met run tonight. He had just 5 hits. Lower 3rd of the order coming up against Vance Worley in the 7th. Travis d'Arnaud 0 for 2 tonight, has struck out and fly deep to left. Ruben Tejada to follow, and then the pitcher's spot, Daisuke Matsuzaka, one would presume is done after 6 innings of work. It's sharply off the glove of Alvarez. Mercer runs it down, but d'Arnaud is aboard. Second time tonight the Mets have gotten a base hit off Alvarez's glove.
You know, I've watched Alvarez play a lot, and I think he has quick reflexes. He's got a good arm, maybe not always accurate, but he doesn't have the softest of hands. And on these kind of plays, we saw David Wright make a fine play in inning earlier. You really have to give with that ball and have soft hands.
So d'Arnaud has a hit for a 3rd straight game since coming back from the minors, and the Mets have their 6th hit of the night. Now Tejada, who has singled and been hit by a pitch, so he continues to get on base at a prodigious rate. Kirk Neuenhuis on deck to pinch hit as Tejada fouls back the fastball.
You know, I'm thinking tonight, Gary, this is why you take a chance, take a flyer on a pitcher that's had past success, because he might find it again. And Worley with a nice effort tonight.
New and Heiss. We mentioned earlier about Worley. I mean, he had a terrific rookie year, and it was only 3 years ago. He's only 26.
Yeah.
It's not like he's 33 and you're looking for a second career from him. What you're looking for is a young pitcher to just keep developing. Chop toward third. Alvarez gets the force. Walker with the turn for the double play. 5-4-3. 2 out and nobody out.
Well, good play from Alvarez. Gets that off very quickly, and Walker stayed in there. Darno with a hard slide to take him out, in a good legal slide. See, last night's ball game, they hit Carlos Gomez, and in the old days, if you got hit by a pitch, if they attempted the double play, you would go right after the second baseman. Gomez did that last night, and Ian Desmond, who was the shortstop not in the play, took exception. Carlos is always in the middle of plays.
Yeah, in part because it was a lopsided game at the time, and the Nationals felt as though it was not appropriate at that point in the game.
It's appropriate. If you hit a batter, it's always appropriate. It's on.
Here's New and Heiss with 2 out and nobody out. It was a little bit of a surprise when the Mets made their player move last night to make room for Lagares. Everybody assumed that they would excise an outfielder. Chris Young seemingly saved his job with 3 home runs in 2 days, and so you figured New and Heiss might be the odd man out, but Kirk is still here. One of the reasons is that he has swung the bat very well since his most recent return.
He's on that double streak, isn't he?
Also gives them a solid extra outfielder defensively. You see Daisuke is lined for the night. Became the first Met ever to double in 4 consecutive plate appearances. It was stretched out over a long period of time because the first double was before he got sent down most recently. Then he had a pinch double in Miami, and then 2 doubles his first 2 times up the next day.
I thought that went the way of my mullet in the 80s, where I was gone.
Gets here a little late.
It does. Was there ever a day when the wave was cool?
Yeah. In the 80s.
Okay.
New and Heiss drills one into right field for a base hit. So Kirk behind in the count produces as a pinch hitter. And the Mets have a 2-out base runner.
And Mets rewarded for their move or non-move and keeping Kirk here. Little breaking ball in the outside part. Nice hitting. And drops it right in front of Polanco.
Well, New and Heiss was hot before he was called up, and he has swung the bat very well since coming back from Las Vegas. So a 2-out base runner for Granderson, who's 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. Curtis hits one in the air to center. Should be easy for McCutcheon. And that retires the side. So Vance Worley gives the Pirates 7 strong innings tonight. He's got a 5-1 lead at the 7th inning stretch. Brought to you by Hyundai. Hyundai leaves the rest wanting. Find out why by visiting buyhyundai.com today. By Cure Auto Insurance. Rates should be based on how you drive, not your credit score. Cure Auto Insurance. Drive well. And by Cholula Hot Sauce, the hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap. Available in original flavor, chili lime, chili garlic, and chipotle. There are your city probables for the remainder of the series. Jacob deGrom coming off his first big league win goes against Brandon Compton tomorrow night. Saturday afternoon, John Neese squares off against Garrett Cole. And then Sunday afternoon, Bartolo Colon goes for his 7th straight win against the ponderous Edinson Volquez. Carlos Torres on to pitch the bottom of the 7th for New York.
His last outing was a no decision, but it was outstanding in Miami. But even better than that, he went 2 innings and struck out 3, because that was 4 days ago. So he's finally got some time to rest that right arm.
Travis Snyder will be the pinch hitter, batting for Vance Worley as we start the bottom of the 7th. So Worley, his 3rd start for the Pirates and his 3rd quality start. And so that's going to make the decision making for Pittsburgh that much more difficult when they try and shoehorn Cole back into the rotation.
I think he just won himself a permanent job right now.
And they've got a lot of smiles from Vance, and you can understand that. They've got another difficult decision coming up fairly soon because Francisco Liriano will be coming back from the disabled list. Line the other way, and Snyder's got a base hit. Well, Travis Snyder gives the Pirates their 6th leadoff base runner in 7 innings.
Remember I said before that Dice K has had an amazing year, but that stuff tends to even out if you have so many base runners. Well, it kind of evened out today with that one hanging pitch to Polanco.
There were 2 big moments in this game for Dice K. One of them really had nothing to do with him. The Mets playing that double steal poorly, and then the pitch he hung to Polanco, which resulted in his downfall. Here is Polanco, has driven in 4 runs tonight with a ground out and that 3-run homer.
I mean, the extension he gets through this baseball and that follow through. There's going to be a lot of young kids in Pittsburgh trying to emulate that swing.
Do you think it's more of a home run swing, or do you think he can be a high average guy?
No, I think it's you know what he looks like to me, and it's going to be hard for folks because it's a hitter from long ago. But he's got a little Tony Oliva in him when I see his swing.
Tony Oliva was batting champion with Minnesota back in the 60s. So Tony Watson up in the bullpen for Pittsburgh.
I've heard him said that he looks a little bit like Strawberry at the plate. I don't see it. But he just has that ability that he has that long swing. Now, come on, it's early, so let's not jump on the bandwagon. But he has a long swing, but it's incredibly quick. You don't want to put him in a difficult spot by comparing him to Hall of Fame type players, but a little Griffey in him, a little Ken Griffey in his swing. I like that too. Griffey's was a little more upright and more classic probably than Polanco. He looks more like a cut and slash type hitter. It just seems like the left-handed hitters have all the beautiful swings, don't they?
Because they're going in the right direction.
Towards first base.
Right. Hit toward the hole, and Polanco's got another hit. Snyder takes a hard turn at second. Abreu throws behind him, but he gets back. Polanco's squeezing one through the left side for his 2nd hit of the night.
Well, that's the cut and slash part about it, right? 2 strikes. Good pitch from Torres. It's down. And he just delivers it through the hole. Look at that beautiful follow through. Very nicely done. Mets are going to be contending with him for a few years.
The folks in the NL Central had better watch out. I mean, we were just in Miami and watching that young outfield perform with Ozuna and Stanton and Yelich and Marisnik. Bunted by Harrison, nicely done. Wright makes the play, so the sacrifice by Harrison. 5-3. Moving the runners to second and third.
Boy, I love that call. You know, why not try to add on? 5-1's a nice lead, but try to get a couple more. Boy, classic bunting style by Harrison. Gets the bat out in front, catches it on the bat, bunts it hard enough that David has to come in and make the play. It's all good.
Now the Mets have to decide whether to pitch to McCutchen or go after Walker with the bases loaded, and they will walk McCutchen.
You'll have some people make the argument, well, now that you've bunted them over, you've taken your best hitter out of play. Well, Walker has not had a good night, but anytime you can get your cleanup hitter up to the plate with 3 on is a good thing.
Well, McCutchen has drawn more walks than any hitter in the National League. I was going to say about the Pirates, having just seen the Marlins young outfield with McCutchen and Polanco and Starling Marte, who's not playing tonight. The Pirates have a chance to have an extraordinary run with these young outfielders.
Unbelievably athletic, great speed. Josh Edgen up in the bullpen. All 3 of them outstanding defensive players, which you don't always see in young players, and a chance to be superstars.
Snyder at third, Polanco at second, McCutchen at first, and Warrington at the mound. Now the Pirates already with a 4-run lead, a chance to blow the doors off this game with Neil Walker coming up. Walker 0 for 3 tonight, a pop-up and 2 strikeouts.
Sorry, Gary. He's been very patient in this game. It's gotten behind in the count almost every single time. I wouldn't be surprised he's very aggressive on this first pitch. You see the defense, of course. Double play depth up the middle for Tejada and Murphy.
Walker hitting .327 this year with runners in scoring position. Batting with the bases loaded and 1 out. And he does go after the first one, a chance for 2. Tejada with a turn, double play, side retired. 1 pitch, and Torres finds his way out of it. 4-6-3 double play, and the Pirates failed to score in the bottom of the 7th. Still 5-1 Pittsburgh. From baseball to football, partnering with the New York Jets to help local youth football leagues with equipment donations, clinics, and Jets game experiences. The deadline for applications is this Friday, June 27th. If you know a local youth football league in need, apply today at facebook.com/SNY. Well, Tony Watson, who's having an extraordinary season, will come on to pitch for the Pirates.
Well, really back-to-back seasons. This young left-hander is one of the best set-up men, eighth-inning men in the game. He can do it all. He hasn't given up an earned run in his last 26 and third innings pitched.
It'll be Murphy, Wright, and Duda to face Watson in the 8th after Vance Worley went 7 and allowed a run on 7 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Gave up just the Duda home run. 5-1 Pittsburgh as we start the 8th. Murphy 0 for 3 tonight. Murphy doesn't mind the lefties. He's had a higher batting average this year against left-hand pitchers than he has against righties, and of course the same can be said of David Wright.
His delivery is just funky enough that it makes it a little hard to pick up the baseball off Watson and combine that with great talent.
Okay, he's still at 95.
Exactly.
That helps too. 1-2 to Murphy.
Watch what he does with his hands. It's unusual. See how he opens the glove and then tucks it? That is the little bit of the funkiness that makes it difficult for the hitters.
Watson, 29 years old. He's a teammate of Andrew Brown's at the University of Nebraska. Really hit his stride last year. His whip last season was off the charts. 0.88. Wow. Murphy lines one to left. Harrison chasing it, and he won't get it. Back to the 383 mark, and Murphy pulls into second base with a leadoff double. So Murph, who came into that at bat hitting .338 against lefties, claims another.
You're asking home, why does Murphy own left-handers? There's a couple of reasons. One, Harrison pays him no respect, paying him so shallow, and that ball easily got over his head. But 90% of the pitches from left-handers is going to be away, and that's where Murphy's strength is.
So now here's Wright. David's gone 0 for 3 tonight. Started the night with a 9-game hitting streak. David hitting .395 against left-handers, the 3rd best mark in the league. So the Mets were unable to do much against Worley in 7 innings. Trying to come back against this Pittsburgh bullpen that was great last year. It's been okay this year. But the strength of their bullpen has been their 2 lefties, Watson and Wilson.
We're only into the 8th inning. But the Pirates last year, if they led after 8, were 80-3. They already have 4 losses this year with that same stat.
A lot of that happened when Jason Grilli was closing. He's now lost that role, and in fact has struggled even in the lesser roles since he was pulled from his closer's duties.
Gave up a couple of runs yesterday.
Mark Melanson is now doing the closing for the Pirates. Watson behind 2-0, and David fouls back the fastball. Got one to hit there.
Swing by David.
Lucas Duda, who hit a home run against a left-hander last night. His first extra base hit against a lefty all year, waiting on deck.
You know, you never know as Martin goes out to talk to Watson. But sometimes in a game, Gary, and I know you know this because you've watched so many games, is that sometimes a defensive play, having a double play get you out of an inning where you look like the team is going to bury you, can get your offense started. And Murphy with that nice start with the double. Let's see if Wright can follow suit.
Two and two to Wright. Now the 2-2. And he comes inside with the fastball and misses. Full count.
Boy, good eye by David. Awfully close pitch. I think Jeff Nelson did a nice job of not punching him out. That's a call that sometimes you'll get, but Martin did bring it back into the strike zone.
Murphy at second and nobody out. And Wright pulls one over the bag. That's a fair ball down the line. Murphy will score as the ball hits the jutting stands. Back-to-back doubles for Murphy and Wright, and now it's 5-2 Pittsburgh. Murphy and Wright trading places. 41 RBIs for the captain.
Well, the towel waving is getting a little more spirited here late in the game. Good job by Murph. Back-to-back doubles, trading places with him. And finally an earned run given up by Mr. Watson. This owns lefties, doesn't he? I don't care if they throw 95 or 85. He owns them.
So the two guys who've hit lefties all year combined for a couple of doubles. Now a guy who had a big hit against a lefty last night gets a turn due to hit the 3-run homer off Brad Mills. Has a home run tonight as well. He tucked one down the left field line for his 12th of the year. In fact, he has 3 home runs in his last 12 at bats. This is a rarity for Mr. Watson, who has been so splendid. Duda goes around with the slider. 0-2.
Oh, fastball down the middle taken. Slider away. It's nasty. Both pitchers look like they're coming out of the same spot.
Chris Young on deck to bat for Bobby Abreu. Watson ahead 0-2. Duda watches. Well, Terry Collins said before the game tonight that Young's role would be to come off the bench and play against lefties.
And I think you're seeing it come to pass already that the bench is a little stronger. Neuenhuis had a hit earlier. Young's going to come up in a situation to drive the ball out of the park.
And then you still have Eric Young and Eric Campbell sitting on the bench as potential pinch hitters. 1-2 coming to Duda, and he lays off that slider, and now it's 2-2. It's good discipline there by Duda.
Huge hole in left center field. If he gets one of those hanging sliders or fastballs away, he just goes with it.
Even a ground ball to short would work.
Yeah, right.
2-2, and he goes down swinging. Good fastball by Watson to get him for the first down of the inning.
Well, just smart pitching. Got him so conscious of the ball away that he ran that fastball in and beat him. Fastball, slider away every single pitch, and the punch out pitch beats him inside. Doesn't get that foot down quick enough, and the ball's by him.
So that's the first out. And now the suddenly hot Chris Young will come to bat with Wright at second and 1 out. Chris with 3 home runs in the last 2 nights against his old team, the A's. Last night a 2-run homer against Luke Gregerson in the 8th inning after a pair of bombs the night before. And now trying to keep the good times rolling, facing the left-hander Watson.
If you're an offense, the very least, Gary, you've got to get Wright in, because that gives you a bloop and a blast chance in the 9th. You want more, of course.
Young is 0 for 4 in his career against Watson, and he takes a fastball for a strike. While Lagares waiting on deck. Young 1 for 8 as a pinch hitter this year. Right at second and 1 out. And Chris takes a strike on the inside edge, 0-2.
First pitch more down the middle. This one caught the corner. Perfect pitch by Watson.
Hit toward the middle. Mercer with a nice sliding stop. And a good stretch by Davis, and they get Young 2 down.
Well, good at bat by Chris. Better play by Mercer. And watch the footwork of Ike Davis as he gets that left foot on the outside part of the bag to make that stretch and play. Huge play there by Mercer. Not a great base running decision by David with that ball to his left.
So now 2 out of the inning. Wright still at second, and it's left to Juan Lagares, who's gone 1 for 3 in his return from the disabled list. Mets have a run home here in the 8th, down 5-2, and Lagares takes a slider for a strike.
Murphy with a double, Wright with a double. Lucas Duda took the first fastball for a strike. Chris Young took the first fastball for a strike, and so does Juan Lagares.
Goes after the changeup, and it's 0-2.
It's the first time that the hitters on the Mets have seen this pitch from Watson.
So Lagares has just been a little off tonight after missing 22 games. Finds himself in a 2-strike hole. Jared Hughes, the right-hander, up in the Pittsburgh bullpen.
See if they go fastball in.
And Lagares down on another changeup. So Watson able to limit the damage in the 8th inning. After Murphy and Wright put together back-to-back doubles to plate a run, Mets are unable to cash any further. 5-2 Pittsburgh. Also on your Honda drive around the majors, Travis Wood and the Cubs lead the Nats 3-1 in the 4th. And Ryan Wheeler a grand slam for the Rockies. They are up 4-3 on the Brewers in the 4th. Chris Young stays in the game in left field as we go to the bottom of the 8th, and Josh Edgin is on to pitch for New York.
Well, see if he can keep that mark going with the first batter faced. 18 seen, 18 have gone down.
Russell Martin will be his first batter tonight. Martin 0 for 2. He's also been hit by a pitch. And a hot shot to third, and David Wright made a nice pickup to get him his last time up. Daisuke Matsuzaka went the first 6, allowed 5 runs and 5 hits. Carlos Torres pulled a Houdini act in the 7th after the Pirates loaded the bases, and now Edgin working the 8th. And he falls behind on Martin, 2-0. Ike Davis on deck, then Pedro Alvarez. That's why it's Edgin in the game with the 2 lefties to follow Martin. Edgin pitched last night for an inning. Got a 1-2 3/8. He falls behind 3-0, and his streak is in jeopardy. Swinging 3-0, and Martin pulls it foul. It's an epidemic.
Well, I never understood why you didn't swing 3-0 more for hitters. You know you're going to get a free cookie, fastball down the middle most of the time.
Edging behind 3-1. And Martin hits a hot shot right at Tejada on one big hop. 1 out. And the streak lives. 19 for 19. Edgin retiring his first batters.
Russell Martin's got to be shaking his head. He hit that bullet to right, now this bullet to Tejada. Got nothing to show for it.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Davis, who's grounded into a double play and walked twice tonight. It's about the way Ike's year has gone, hasn't it? A lot of walks, not a whole lot of production. In the 9th, the Mets will have the lower third of the order coming up. D'Arnaud, Tejada, and the pitcher's spot. They've got Campbell, Recker, and Eric Young all available on the bench to pinch hit. And Edgin fires a fastball for a strike. Big Black staying ready in the Mets bullpen behind Edgin. And Davis shoots one foul. And it's 0-2. Been interesting watching both Edgin and Evelyn, the 2 left-handers, as Mark Melanson, the closer, is up to the Pirates. They both get a lot of action with their sliders, but they're 2 very different sliders.
Yeah, they are. A big sweeping slider from Evelyn, and Edgin's more sometimes like a cutter. Throws it much harder.
Davis lofts one into shallow left center. On comes Chris Young. And there are 2 down. So Edgin continues to roll. 2 out and nobody on. Tomorrow night, game 2 of this 4-game series. Jacob deGrom will be on the mound for the Mets, looking to make it back-to-back victories. Brandon Compton, the rookie right-hander, goes for the Pirates. Our coverage begins at 6 o'clock tomorrow night here on SNY. Here's Alvarez, who's 2 for 3 tonight. Twice a single to right center. Mets 2 runs and 9 hits. The Pirates 5 runs and 7 hits. The big blow in this game, Gregory Polanco's 3-run homer off Matsuzaka in the 5th. And Alvarez smacks one. Right, knocks it down, but has no play. And Alvarez has his 3rd hit of the night. So with the Mets in full shift mode, Alvarez took this one the other way.
Well, David almost got to that play. He had to stay on his feet, because if you dive, that's absolutely a hit. Tried to stay on his feet and make a backhand play, and just out of his range.
Terry Collins is going to make a double switch. Eric Campbell is coming into the game, and Vic Black will be entering as well, with the right-hand batting Jordy Mercer coming up. Black will take over. We're at the bottom of the 8th. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. 5-2 Pittsburgh. We'll be right back to PNC Park. 847,000 people named Campbell, and every one of them is nicknamed Sue.
You're absolutely right. At least all the ball players.
Changes for the Mets. Eric Campbell comes in to play left field. He'll bat ninth. Chris Young moves from left field to center field, while Lagares comes out, and the new pitcher Vic Black hits in the 6th hole.
Pitched a clean inning against Oakland a couple days ago, an inning pitch and a strikeout. Inherited runners stranded. That's always a good sign. 5 out of 6 for Black.
And he'll try to strand Pedro Alvarez at first base as he comes in to face Jordy Mercer. Mercer's 0 for 2 and a walk, but he scored 2 runs tonight.
Jordy, not short for anything. That is his name. It's not Jordan, it's Jordy.
Now, how's that possible? Lower part of the order for the Pirates really has gotten the job done tonight. 7, 8, and 9 hitters are 5 for 8 in this game. Pedro Alvarez 3 hits. Vance Worley had a hit. Gabby Sanchez has come out on deck to pinch hit if Mercer can keep the inning going. And Black fires a fastball for a strike. What do you think about the virtually complete turnover in the Mets bullpen since the start of the season? And all to the good.
Yes. Well, they've filled it now with mostly guys who can throw 95 plus, and the guys who can't are very deceptive with Evelyn and Carlos Torres. In fact, there was a little bit of news today on a guy that started kind of in the bullpen in April for the Mets, as Kyle Farnsworth was DFA'd by the Houston Astros.
Yeah. You know, Kyle, when he was let go by the Mets, said he wanted to go to a team that was going to play the Mets. And the Astros are scheduled to play the Mets, but not till the last series of the year.
Well, he's going to have to go to the pocket schedule and find a team that still has games remaining against the Mets.
It's Gabby Sanchez on deck. Might be the end of the road for Kyle. Here's the 0-2. And the curveball misses from Black. 1-2. Has Jose Valverde resurfaced anywhere?
I haven't heard of any.
Well, the development of guys like Black and Jerry's Familia, Josh Edgen, it's been fun to watch. Out to center field, Chris Young is there, and that retires the side. Mets will come up in the 9th inning. Last licks, trying to come from behind, down 5-2. Clint Barmes will play third base and bat ninth, and the new Pirate closer Mark Melancon will try and close out the Mets.
Well, it's a great comeback from Melancon. 2 years ago in Boston, he was sent to AAA Pawtucket. He had lost his way, but had a magical season for the Bucks last year, and continuing to have a magical season this year.
Filled in for Jason Grilli, closing games both last year and this year when Grilli was hurt, but Grilli now has lost his job not because of injury but because of lack of performance, and Melancon has filled the bill. Travis d'Arnaud leads off, and Melancon's fastball hit in the air to deep right center. Over goes Polanco. One pitch and one out. So d'Arnaud retired.
Listen, all managers are different. There used to be a time in the game where if you're the leadoff hitter and you're down by 3 runs, you would certainly at least take a strike in case the pitcher got behind you and walked you, but that is not part of the game anymore. Guys are aggressive.
Here's Tejada, who's been on base twice tonight with a single and a hit by pitch. Grounded into a double play his last time up. Mets have out hit the Pirates 9-8, but down by 3 as they bat in the ninth. Hanson airing it out.
95. Where does that come from?
It's not usually his neighborhood. It's usually a guy that throws a lot of cutters, a lot of curveballs. That cutter. 1-1 to Tejada. Eric Campbell in the 9-hole is on deck. If anybody gets on, Curtis Granderson gets a turn here in the ninth. Grounded down toward third, a foul ball. 1-2 to Tejada. Vance Worley's 7 innings tonight. 1 run, 7 hits. Tony Watson worked the 8th, gave up a run on 2 hits. And now Melancon trying to seal the deal. Pirates trying to get back over 500, which they visited briefly the other day. First time since the middle of April they had been over 500. Now the 1-2. Little tapper past the mound, and there's Mercer to play it. 2 out. So the Mets are down to their final out of the ninth. And Eric Campbell, who came into the double switch in the top of the inning, will get his first turn at bat. Campbell started the last 2 nights against the A's and went 3 for 8 in the 2 games. Full house here in Pittsburgh. It's a beautiful gem of a ballpark, and they've been filling it with regularity. 0-1 to Campbell. Melancon trying for his 14th save of the year. Campbell hits it to the right side. Beautiful attempt by Walker, and he throws him out, and the ball game is over. Tremendous play by Walker to end it. Melancon with a 1-2-3 ninth. And the Pirates, on the strength of Gregory Polanco's 4 RBIs and some strong pitching from Vance Worley, take the opener of this series 5-2.
Well, you have to say just a fantastic job by Vance Worley, who had been victimized by the Mets many times. He turned it around with a great performance over 7 innings. Clint Hurdle's crew is back over 500, and the Mets offense for the first time in 4 days, a struggle.
Tonight's game summary brought to you by New York Community Bank. Worley, who toted a 6.6 ERA against the Mets in his career, allowed just 1 run over 7 tonight. Gregory Polanco had a 3-run bomb off Daisuke Matsuzaka that was the difference in the game. And the Pirates go back over 500 as they win for the 5th time in their last 6 games. 5-2 the final. The Pirates win it. Back with